Alright guys, so what we're going to be doing today is pretty much upgrading the brakes on the Doodlebug. I went ahead and put just factory brakes. Money was a little tight at the time for my projects, so just got the regular brake on it, which isn't so great when you're doing over 30 miles an hour. So I went ahead and got the hydraulic brakes, as I will show you now. So I already went ahead and opened it last night when they got here. I got two, one for my green Doodlebug and of course one for my silver and blue Doodlebug. Alright, so I think I got everything I need. Got the brakes, I got the brake pads, got some zip ties. I'm out of black ones, so that's kind of what I got. So I'm going to be cutting the zip ties for that, and then a 10mm for the brakes, and that's about it. That's how easy it is to replace the brakes. Sorry about the noise. My AC units are right here, and they're a little noisy, but got to keep the house cool. Alright, so I went ahead and removed all the zip ties that hold the factory brake together. I'm going to go ahead and pretty much run this brake, hopefully the same way I ran this one on my green Doodlebug, and please learn from my mistakes. I ran it down here, and what happens is that you're off-roading, you're out in the woods, things do hit that line, and it's just a plastic line, so you don't want little tears on it, and you know, unfortunately it'll start leaking fluid and then you have no brakes. So run it up top, it's a lot safer. And again, I'm only going to do that if the line is long enough, which I hope it is. Real simple, just pretty much remove the two 10mm bolts that hold the brakes together. And it's that simple. Well, since I'm actually recording, I'll talk a little bit about how I mounted my engine. So you can see I put some spacers between the frame and the engine mount, and this actually allowed me, see how close that is, to run the torque converter without cutting it like I did on my green one. I made a cut right there, and I also had to cut this support, but only on this side. So the only thing supporting my fenders, which aren't even on the green one, is this right here, which worked out well, but I didn't want to cut anything on this one, keep it as original as possible. And I just find it so interesting that I can do around 38 miles an hour on average with a fully stock, other than of course the flywheel, which doesn't add performance per se, and the torque converter. Everything else is 100% stock in this engine. My green Doodlebug does 48 miles an hour. This one does 38 miles an hour. With that said, the green Doodlebug has the older engine, so it's not a Hemi as they call it. But it does have valve springs, 18-pound valve springs. It has no governor, intake, exhaust. Actually has factory jet. I think it's pretty much where I am, South Carolina. Humidity, it runs well. I checked the spark plug multiple times and it's burning clean, so I did not need to upgrade my jet. But this one, it's running 10 miles an hour less, with pretty much the same setup, except the engine is completely stock. Alright, well, let's get back to the brakes. I will keep this factory one which is not factory. I actually bought it off eBay brand new for like 13 bucks delivered. But anyways, I'm gonna keep it around for emergencies. Hydraulic brakes tend to break. They don't last very long, and you should only use them when you really need to stop. I would not slam on your brake every time because they will burn up. The actual brake itself gets so hot that the bolts that hold it together, I guess on the hydraulic ones, there's like little rubber seals for it, and if it gets too hot, it's gonna burn those, and your brake will pretty much just say fall off your bike. Keep that in mind, y'all. Learn from my mistakes. All right, let's get this bad boy opened up. I like to get it already done. They do sell them separate. By separate, I mean the handle and the actual piston. But I like to get them together. They come bled, which is nice. Saves you a little bit of time. They do come with the electric. I don't know if you can see it well there, but if you want to add a brake light, it does have that option. So. Alright guys, as you can see, the hydraulic brake comes, like I said, it's already bled, it's got the fluid in it, and this is facing the wrong way. I actually wanted to run it up this way, so this will need to be facing the opposite direction. Alright guys, so I had to unbolt this slightly loose, that way I can turn this hose the opposite direction and I can run it the proper way up the frame. Just bolting it down now. Looks pretty sweet the way it's gonna go up. And hopefully it lasts a little longer than previous ones I've had. These are about 50 bucks a pop, so keep that in mind. They're not necessarily the cheapest upgrade on these, but I will say that you need it. They know that. That's why they're charging 50 bucks a pop. Alright, I had to switch up my zip ties. Fortunately, the navy blue ones were too small. What do you guys think? Got a good spot there? Puts a little tension on it. Maybe I'll go a little higher. Alright, that's good right there. What do you guys think? How does that look? The red looks sporty, kind of goes with the labels and the Predator name, and of course OMB Warehouse. Maybe one day they'll sponsor me, give me some discounts. Willing to pay a little bit. Looks like it'll fit well as far as distance. Shouldn't have any problems. I got the rubber handle off. Just gonna go ahead and slide out the OEM brake handle. I'll get it out in a second. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this one slid in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up those bolts first. One, do not over tighten the bolts for the handle, because this piece will crack. Learn the hard way, so don't do it. Be gentle. It doesn't need to be too tight. It'll hold on well. And also, before you do tighten it, go ahead and put your handle back on. Make sure your distance to the handle is proper, and before you tighten, of course, make sure you got the right angle that feels good to you, because you're going to be riding this bike. That's my angle right there. Feels great, super tight. There's no grinding back there, so the spacing between the disc and the brake pads is perfect. Feels good. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the zip tying, and we should be good to go. So something I don't like is that this line is facing a certain way that doesn't actually allow this hose to flow well. It does a lot of rubbing, and that's never a good thing. You don't want your hose to touch anything repeatedly, because that will wear it out. I'm gonna go ahead and untighten this again ever so slightly, because you don't want to get air in the system. Again, I'm not a certified mini bike technician, so do this at your own will. If you know how to bleed your brake, hey, by all means, you're an expert. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. This is my bike. I'm doing this for myself, and hopefully I straighten out that hose. All right, well, I definitely like that much better. It's nice and perfect for turning. Does not rub on anything. Shouldn't have any problems. In a second, I'm gonna go ahead and mount the camera to that, and we're gonna take it for a spin, but not before I check out the carburetor fuel intake. I want to make sure it's not clogged. The bike has been sitting for a while, and ethanol is not something to play with. If you can get pretty much unleaded fuel, no ethanol, get it. I don't have any around my area, so I'm kind of stuck with the 10% ethanol. All right, well, before you do this, and you should do this every time you turn off your bike, or before you turn it off, is turn off the fuel and let it run until the fuel in this little tank runs out. That's gonna help you not get any corrosion and things get clogged, and it's just extra work. Your goal when you have a mini bike is to ride more than you actually work on it. Good luck with that. All right, so I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I always do that trick, and it's pretty clean, nothing to worry about. All right, guys, don't forget safety first. Wear your helmets, wear your gloves. I won't wear my gloves because I'm going for a short ride, just to test everything out, but be ready. If you can, wear more gear than that. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and get the bike started. I'll even add a little GPS action for you. Make sure she still goes as fast as she goes. And we'll go from there. what I'm gonna do is go ahead and ride it. I went ahead and reset the app, so it should register my maximum speed here. I'll give it the best shot I can. Let me make sure it's running. All right, 34.8 miles an hour. All right, she finally turned it off. So let me get the camera out of here. So what I'll be doing is next time I'm gonna go ahead and heat wrap that exhaust because it's pretty close to your thigh. I'm okay, my legs come up and then go down, but anyone else riding this who is a little smaller than I am can't get burned. I mean, I wouldn't touch that, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it. I'm also going to tighten up the chain a little bit. I like a little slack, but this is getting a little excessive. So all I have to do is loosen up the engine a little bit, slide it forward, call it a day, and do it again once it gets loose. Next time also, please like and subscribe. I'm starting this out and I really want to, you know, be able to reach out to more people. So like, subscribe, and I'll be able to do more videos if that's the case. Anyways, next time I'll be doing probably a little walkthrough. I'll show you my 240SX that I just got. It's a 92 sunroof heads-up display, 100% stock. Well, let's say 99% stock. It has an aftermarket antenna and it has an aftermarket CD player. Other than that, pretty factory unit. These are rare to see in factory OEM form. It doesn't have a cracked dash. It is a pleasure to drive. Again, like, subscribe, tell me what you think. If you want to see the 240,